might be interesting, but yeah. Okay. So with the leadership, the GLT can be a good resource for you to get leadership training for your clubs, but you need to be attuned to what training they need. We can offer it again at the district level, and you can encourage people to attend those at the district level, but you can also bring it right down to your zone if you want. And then that naturally follows the same with the service chairperson. You work with the district service chairperson. We generally try to do a district level service project each year. We have been trying to have some kind of an initiative. Governor Tom is trying to raise money this year for Beacon Lodge to help support them since they couldn't have camp this year. Their financial need is going to be greater. But within your zones too, it's a great way to bring your zones together through a common service project. And if it's a hands-on thing that engages a lot of your Lions, what a great way to get together. Some of our zones have been using their zone social as an opportunity to do this service. So they've combined a service opportunity, like they've actually combined service, fundraising, and their zone social all together so that they're raising funds and then donating that money somehow, or doing something else for a good cause. So that's another way that you can look at it, but you could have a separate event. None of your clubs alone might be able to do something that's more involved. You don't have enough members, you don't have enough resources, but if you get together with the other clubs in your zone, that becomes a reality. And some of those things can be a lot better exposure. That's what they're doing in the Western Cumberland County Lions clubs, which is basically zone 2A, I believe. They are working together to build funds for broader, bigger needs. So they have several fundraising events during the year that support that.
Hello, Dennis.
Yeah, Dan. Hello.
Hi, sorry about that. Did I hear you say who the coordinators are for each of those things?
I'm sorry, I did not. Let me go back here.
They might be, I think most of them know, but I'm not sure all of them know who the people are.
So our GMT coordinator is past district governor Lisa Griffey. Our leadership coordinator is the guy who just spoke, our first vice district governor, Dan Brandt. And our service coordinator is our immediate past district governor, Steve Shipman. So those are the three coordinators. And then the district governor serves as the chairperson of the district level GAT, Global Action Team. So those are the people that you want to be working with or contacting if you've got a need in one of those areas. Another of your responsibilities is representing your clubs at the district level and even at the multiple district level. But you gather their needs, and as I've mentioned a couple of times already, I think it's really important for those needs to come up the chain of command or across the chain of command, maybe. Dan, we talked about that we need to think maybe horizontally, not above us or beneath us, but across the chain or whatever. But get the needs to the broader levels of Lions, but especially to the district level, so that you have a better idea, or we have a better idea at the district level what we can do to support our clubs, because really the strength of Lions is at the club level. And if our clubs are weak, the whole organization is weak. We've got to have strong clubs and strong leadership at our club level in order for our organization to be strong and to grow and be effective in our communities. And we, at the district level, we want to support the people at the club level as best we can. We just don't always know the best way to do that or the most effective way. So, that's where you can help a lot as the zone chairperson. Okay.
Dennis, one more comment here.
Yeah.
Is that we're going to do a session on club health assessment in the fourth session to try to help zone chairs think about how they might do some kind of a concrete assessment of how their clubs are doing and which ones are struggling. So that might be helpful then too.
Yes, very much so. So that's actually the fourth session on the 19th, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And I know it's the 19th because that's my anniversary.
Oh.
So, just so you're aware. All right. The next responsibility is supervising the district and multiple district, or supervising the progress of the district and multiple district in your zones, right? So in other words, you basically are trying to maintain that constant contact with your clubs to make sure that you can promote and support their projects, their fundraisers, help solicit help for the projects. If it's a small club and they need some extra hands, you can be that liaison that helps engage maybe other clubs in helping them, and saying and keeping the information flowing. Again, putting out there, hey, XYZ club is having a fundraiser. If you need a chicken barbecue that day, if you don't feel like cooking next Saturday, come them, or come up and get those delicious peach sundaes up at the market, right, Bonnie?
Yes.
Bonnie's Club, so the good peach sundaes, right? All right. So you're keeping that information flow going with that. This is probably one of these areas. This next one is when it's just where it's important to me, but it's not important to a lot of people, as far as being aware that every club has a constitution and bylaws, whether they like it or not. They have one, even if they don't know they have one. They have one, the standard club constitution and bylaws. That's something that each of you should have, and I believe Vice Governor Dan, I believe that's something we're including in their handbook. Is that correct? Constitution and bylaws club. You're muted, I think, Dan. Dan, you're muted.
I unmuted myself. Sorry about that. Yes, it will be, when we put the binder together, that will be in the binder.
Okay, good. So yeah, it's good for you to be aware of that, to know, what the guidelines are for at the club level. And then, obviously the district constitution bylaws too is something that you need to be aware of. But make your clubs aware of some of those things, and use that, refer your clubs to that constitution and bylaws, and make sure it is the most current. They are, every year, an updated version of that is published after the International Convention. So make sure your clubs have an up-to-date version of that. And again, when questions come up, make them aware. You can do it that way. You don't have to have a huge, long session about it, but make them aware when there are changes, what changes have happened after the International Convention, and then also, if they come to you with a particular question, use your club constitution bylaws as a reference. Yes, it's easier to call Past District Governor Carey or myself and try to get an answer, but our memories are only so good, or whatever. You've got the source document there that you can check and look at it. And if you have a question about that, we'll be happy to help you with that. We're always happy to help you anytime. But again, I know I can't tell you the number of times I've thought I knew what it was, and I went back and checked, and it wasn't quite right on that, because changes happen, and my memory's not all that great necessarily. All right. This is one I'd really like you to emphasize with your folks, is promoting representation at the different things that anything that happens outside the club level. So many of our members are just stuck in their clubs and only know what goes on at their club. And the most exposure they get to other clubs is at their zone social, if they even attend that. But you know, going just to something outside of club, whether it's a district convention or the training like we had a couple of weeks ago over to state office, the leadership symposium, or an RLLI, Regional Alliance Leadership Institute. It's just amazing how that sparks interest in what you're doing and gives you a whole new perspective, and it just allows you to be around some Lions who are enthusiastic about Lions, especially if you have a club that is kind of, you know, static, doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot or whatever. Get their leaders involved so that they have an outlet with some people that are excited about some things. I think both Vice District Governor Dan and Lion Keith can speak to that in terms of how that kind of lights a flame for your enthusiasm for Lions. I know it did for one of my members that I took just to this last one. He came out of that and he was, you know, like, yeah, that was really interesting, and you know, learned a lot and more enthusiastic. Keith or Dan, do you want to speak to that?
I know with me, what got me really interested, I think, and started to get my head clear about Lions was really Lions University. I started that several years ago and really got my interest in learning more about just Lions in general. I mean, you can skip through the bachelor program, which has a lot of basics about Lions, history of Lions, which, I mean, there's interesting things in all the different levels. And then that got me interested in, you know, going to the symposiums, which the Lions University, of course, you can do at home online. But again, the very first forum I went to was just amazing. I was really looking forward to going to the forum this year, as I'm sure many other people were. So I was disappointed that I didn't get to go because of at the first forum, it developed a lot of friendships with Lions from just all over the country and all over Canada, and people that you probably don't get to see. You're not going to get to see that often. So, but that really motivates one to kind of continue on and to learn more and get out there and meet more people and find out what other people are doing in different areas of the country and the world. Of course, part of that was the RLLI, which was again mandatory as part of the Lions University master's course. But again, it was a weekend well spent. A lot of intense training. They covered a lot of, I don't want to say intense to scare any people off, but it was a lot of training on multiple levels, on multiple subjects that really, again, I'm looking forward to the next generation of whatever that training is. How about you, Dan?
Yeah, go ahead. You have one, Carrie?
You're up, Dan. Go ahead.
I would be happy to make a comment or two. In my growth, when I stuck my head above water, this is a personal comment. When I stuck my head out of water, so to speak, and started to move into the zone and district level, I just felt like another world opened up to me. I mean, it was a world I just hadn't spent much time in and really didn't understand. And it was a little exhilarating, to tell you the truth, to do that. So For me personally, it meant something. I know that when we've taken people, this is my second comment, when we've taken people to the district convention, those folks tend to want to come back a second or third time or whatever because it whets their enthusiasm for what's beyond the club level. So it's great.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Keith. Anybody else want to comment on their experience having stepped outside their club? Okay, no, we'll keep going on. Two more things as far as responsibilities. You know, I think you already know, and you probably had this on your list about regular visits to each club. At least once a year on your own. You should try to get to a club meeting, and that's kind of outside of the district governor visit. It's good for you to be at the meeting when the governor visits, to introduce the governor. So in essence, you're trying to get to each club twice a year at a minimum. And that just helps you become familiar with what's going on, and also just more comfortable with the members and the leaders of the club. The more you get around with that, and that's really an important piece, building the relationships, getting to know people as you engage with them at the zone chair level. It's a skill building thing too, of meeting people, interacting, and it builds your confidence as well to go to meetings at the district level or to a USA Canada forum or something like that. You know, it's less intimidating when you practice and become more familiar with getting to know people. And this is where it can start, by visiting other clubs as the zone chairperson. And then the final one that's in the Constitution and bylaws is just the general other functions and acts as directed by the International Board of Directors. So if they send something down the pipeline they want you to do, then you're expected, of course, to carry that out. From those things that were listed, and I know that was a pretty long list or whatever, but just real quickly, did any of those responsibilities jump out at you as like a surprise, like, oh, yeah, that's one that I really didn't know was something I should be doing as a zone chair, didn't expect was something that zone chair should do? Bueller? No? How about, which of those do you think is the most challenging? Some of you have experience, you know how challenging it is. For those of you who don't have experience, is there something there that you think would be a tougher one for you personally?
I think a lot of those go hand in hand just through the course of the normal zone meeting. The zone meetings that I attended before I became a zone chair, everything was kind of set in the agenda to discuss service, leadership, and membership. So some of those of that list kind of fit together as part of the standard puzzle, I guess, for the agenda for the meeting. The one thing that I had noticed in previous zone meetings that I had gone to were that they hardly ever had guest speakers. And I know that was one of the points here, is to use the GMT, the GLT, and the GST to come in as guest speakers. And I don't remember attending any meetings, or I can't think of any that ever had guest speakers. And that was one of the things that I started last year, was I tried to bring in a guest speaker for each zone meeting. Now it might have not been service related. the first meeting I had last year, invited LCIF coordinator Carrie to come talk about LCIF. The second one was for the peace poster. Invited Patty to come and talk about the peace poster. So it's something that you can do very quickly and very easily, and give that speaker 15, 20 minutes or whatever they need to talk about their specialty. But I would encourage all the zone chairs, if they haven't thought about that, to use guest speakers, just to, instead of being there as where I guess you could be perceived as a teacher in front of the group, and they may get tired of hearing one person. I think it's just a little bit of a break, and plus it's not only entertaining, but it's really educational. You can use it as a big educational tool.
Yeah, and the presenters don't have to give their whole spiel that they might give to a club. They can just do an abbreviated version and say, I'd love to come and visit your club. When I come there, I'm going to talk about X, Y, and Z. So they can probably summarize in 5 and maybe 10 minutes max what they have to offer to the clubs. And then that way it whets the appetite of the club to invite that person to come in and do a more extensive presentation. So I think you're right on point there.
I've done that too, and I think it really adds to the meeting. Like, I'm the chairperson of the blood drive in our club, and I had that particular person come to our zone meeting a year ago, I guess, trying to promote that within the other clubs too. But things like that, like Keith said, there's a lot of things you can do. And of course, we have Carrie.
Yep. Anybody else want to comment? Right. I know time is ticking away here, so, but just, you had a list to start with. Did you keep track and check off how many things you listed that matched our list? Did anybody have, let's start with, how many people had at least 3 of the things on their list that I mentioned?
I did.
Yes, put your hand up. I can't quite see everybody. I don't know, Carrie, if you can see everybody or not. Yep, okay. Did anybody have 4? Anybody have 4? Make sure you're unmuted. I don't see any 4s. Okay, so 3, so from my understanding, 3 is the most out of that list that match. I'm thinking that means you guys have some things on your list that we didn't talk about. All right. Bonnie, do you have one thing on your list that wasn't on that we didn't go through? Yeah, everybody take a look. I'm going to ask each of you that question. So if you cut you kind of quick there, Bonnie. Everything on your list was pretty well covered, Bonnie?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And I've learned a lot more other things too.
Okay.
And you were saying about sharing activity for club. I think that is a big promotion thing we need to do, is to have the clubs share things with each other and become more familiar with everybody within your zone. I know each year you get a new president and probably not a secretary, but so you're more comfortable with sharing things, I think.
Yeah, there's different opportunities there, I think, that you can go. I just would caution about using a lot of time for that if activities can be communicated. If you can find a different way for them to share, that might be in different things. That would be
Something
my
in particular that they've done that you maybe haven't done would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Todd, did you have anything on your list?
Yeah, I had something that I really didn't see come up quite in the same way was promoting fellowship, the socialization of the clubs within the district to get them together to start to know each other a little bit better.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. You didn't see zone social in there, and I was surprised
No.
when I started going through my governor's thing, how many districts don't have zone socials, don't do things at the zone level on a social, because it just seemed to be such an out. Well, even within our own district, not every zone has a zone social. So I agree with that.
I know when I first became a Lion 30 years ago, that was a yearly thing in our zones. And it seemed like in more recent years, it's kind of, at least in our zone, disappeared.
Keith, did you have anything on your list?
Actually, no, I have to admit that I didn't write down some of the real basic things that came up.
That's okay. Dan, I don't think you were on when you got the assignment. Patty, I'm kind of curious where you came in on this, because you haven't served in the role, but you have a perception of what a zone chair might do. So I was curious what you might have had on your list.
Stuff that was on my list, you covered. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things.
Wow.
You covered them all. I
Good for
guess
you.
because we have Teresa Crayley and she does such a wonderful job, I just thought about Teresa and just started writing stuff. She's so good at communicating and getting everything out there in the service activity. She does it all by email, so we all know. So if we need help, we help each other. And she's invited me to other like meetings and stuff. Unfortunately, with COVID and health issues, I haven't been able to go. But yeah, Teresa's really good at that. So I just took her lead.
Good. Galen, how about you?
Hey, Galen, come back.
Is Galen there? I know we were having trouble audio with Galen before. I don't know if he's.
I think he's muted.
Oh, Galen, you might be muted. Yeah. Sorry, I can't quite get there. So, all right. Well, we're going to go on then. So the last section to spend a couple minutes on, and what do we have here? Oh, wow, we're down to the last 15 minutes. Are some of the resources that are available to you. And there are a lot of resources. Lions puts out a lot of stuff, and maybe sometimes too much stuff, because a lot of their stuff will start to contradict things as it goes along or whatever, because it's not always kept as up to date. So I kind of saw that as I went through and got ready for this with that happening. But basically, one of the things that you want to check out is the LCI website, right? It is a good resource. They have a section on zone and region chairperson, called the Zone and Region Chairperson Center. And it has good list of resources and things on it. But unfortunately, and I hate to be critical, but I have to be I have to be honest with you too. The website is not always the most friendly thing to get to. So I started to try to look for the page that's pictured here, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere. I found a page from the old website, but then I went to the new, and the closest that I came up to, I put a link here to it. So we're going to go to that, hopefully, if this works right. All right. So I found this page, and it says that it's under Home, Resource Center, and Zone and Region Chairperson. But when I actually go to the Resource Center and click on that, all that comes up are a bunch of documents in the Resource Center. But somehow I got to this. I think I just did a regular Google search and found it. But I can send you this link. But it starts out with these 3 documents. All right. And we're going to talk about the ebook in a little bit soon, here in just a couple minutes, because that's probably the best resource, in my opinion, that you can have. The Zone Chairperson Learning Map is just something kind of to keep you on track as far as developing your own knowledge about the role of the Zone Chair, and some things that you could look at that are available, like online courses and things. And then this document, the Model District Governor Advisory Committee meetings, is a handy little guide to have because it's the guide this kind of puts together. It has that, well, let's just go to it here. I'll show you. As we scroll through this, it's going to give you this introductory information, but explains what the advisory committee is, gives you some tips for running meetings, which, you know, some depending how much experience you have there. You see the Lions Learning Center here. That is a place that you can take some online courses, which are, you know, very easy, very basic, but, you know, basic level information, but very helpful. How do you get meaningful involvement? The formats, you know, here's kind of the layout for your advisory meetings then, okay? And it's talking about the first one focusing on service and gives you a little bit of background there and gives you a sample agenda that you might use for that meeting, all right? And then, you know, here's some resources to help get you started with that. Then it goes on and talks about your second advisory meeting and focusing on membership, their suggestion with that. And it goes through the same format. There's your agenda, there's your tips, resources, and then your third advisory meeting, which is usually sometime in February. And again, by the way, these advisory meetings that you have ideally will fall within 2 weeks after the district cabinet meeting. That way you can carry information from the cabinet that happens at the district cabinet meeting back to your clubs. So ideally it should be like within 2 weeks of the district cabinet meeting. So what happens is we have a state council meeting, which is usually followed by a district cabinet meeting, which is followed by a zone meeting. So that's how the information can flow across to your clubs. So the first meeting, that service one, is probably in August. The membership one is probably in November or early December. And the third one is usually probably in February sometime, possibly early March, but February is probably better based on our schedule. Now, I do find that interesting that they say the second one's membership when the LCI has September, I think, designated as membership month or something like that. So I'm not always sure how they decide these things, but you know, it's the way it is.
Is this on a booklet that we
Yep,
get, or is
this
it
is
online?
this is a downloadable booklet. Yep, a downloadable booklet. If you want me to just download it and send it to you,
But
I
it's
can
all-
do that. I
it's
have a couple. Yep, I will include that. I was going to send you guys several things. All right.
Okay.
So the third one on leadership development, which makes sense to me because that's when the clubs are starting to look at their officers for next year. And you can go over all the election procedures and things like that, the resources there. And then the fourth meeting is usually optional, and it might happen after the district convention. But again, focus on the future. This is where it would be a great meeting for you to brainstorm ideas for next year, the following Lions year. What's going to be a zone project maybe or something like that, so you can kind of get the planning started or get a committee in place to start to lay out the details of that initiative and set up timeframes or whatever. So I think this is a handy little guide to have. You know, gives you some follow-up things, and then back here at the end, here's the to record the minutes of your meeting.
Ah.
It's just a little form that you can use for that. Here's that report that we talked about, District Governor Advisory Committee report. So it allows you to list your clubs, who, you know, what their office was, or the people who attended, or the clubs, and how they were represented. Gives you a couple of things here to recap. And again, you can appoint somebody to help you with this stuff. Like this one, you could have somebody taking notes for you on it so that you don't have all that to do. Here's a little worksheet that you could use if you wanted I think the intent of this is to hand this out before a meeting, so your presidents and secretaries know what you're going to be talking about and they can come prepared, or you can collect that information ahead of time so you can be prepare too. And then, just a checklist to help you get ready for the meeting. Have you covered all your bases? If you want to do an evaluation, it's there. Yeah, handy little guide to have. Okay, so that is at this this site, and then below that is what was similar to what was in the PowerPoint presentation. It's just set up a little bit different, but these are all links to different documents. So the governance documents are here. There's where you would have that club structure, the district structure I showed you, the multiple district structure. This is like the this sheet that I showed you. All right, so it's someplace that you can get that. All right, some district research sources, your reports. So they have this listed separately. This is information on how to use how to get into MyLine and MyLCI using that. Club health assessment is a tool you might use. It might be with that club quality initiative. I think that's part of that too. So here's some information if you're looking at your meetings, trainings, improving quality. Is this where that club quality Facebook club quality web page? How about that? I don't think I've seen that before. Does that take me to a? There it is, club quality, improving club quality. So again, this is a downloadable document the way it looks, or different resources you can, it'd be good for you to be at least familiar with a little bit that you could, there's the club quality initiative that we discussed. That's the booklet that goes with it that you might use for your clubs to do a sort of a self-assessment. Let's go back. All right, so this is basically a page that has links to a ton of the resources for you, right? Most of these links, I gotta figure out what I'm doing here now. Most of these links are in the ebook. I need back here. Hang on just a second while I. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I just wonder if this would be an appropriate time to make a comment about the binder yet for
Sure, go ahead.
everyone.
You can. Well, I find my way back to my slideshow.
Okay. For the zone chairs that have been to our GAT meetings, they've heard me say this, but for anyone else, there will be at some point, I don't promise it'll be by the time the trainings are over, but we'll do our best. We will have binders that are available to each zone, a binder for each zone. The binder will have copies of many of these materials in it for your use as you choose. You always know you can go live to it on the web in order to get to these materials, but it would be a resource to have at your hands. The binder is not yours personally. The binder will be something that you will pass along to the next zone chair when you leave the position that you're in. We'll make an effort to update the binder from year to year because things like the calendar and other things for the district will need to be updated. Sometimes LCI updates materials, and we'd like you to have the most recent material in your manual. So it's our goal to get that to you as quickly as we can. I think it was one of Dennis's last comments or somebody else's comment. The second thing I would say is the ebook, which will also be included in the binder. The ebook electronically online allows you to get to almost everything else. The site that Dennis was just on, you can get to through the ebook. It really is a great way to go. A lot of times I simply go to the ebook and then I use their click opportunities to decide to get to wherever I want to go. It's LCI with a lot of this stuff has really done a great job. If Dennis, if you go down, I think to the maybe the next page after, yeah, this one. Look here, this is where you were just at. Right there, that zone chairperson workshop was the site you were just on, where you looked at the meeting materials and the opportunities for you to go from one place to another in there. It just, that is really, it is magnificent. You'll have the resources, a copy in your binder, but to get there electronically and actually use the capability of the ebook is just magnificent. So that's my comment.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. It was a great lead into this as far as the ebook. And I will send this to you as well. And you can see as we scroll down through here, many of these links are the same links that we're in, as Dan said, you know, but everything is hyperlinked. So when you have this online, you can just, you know, click to it and it'll be right there for you. So it's a great resource to have, and I would highly recommend that you keep this available right on your desktop. And I know we're quite right at 8:30. If any of you have to leave, don't feel bad about going out, but we'll continue on here for a few minutes just to finish up. Again, this has multiple pages. You can see up here, it's what, 13 pages long? So is somebody saying something? I'm sorry. Somebody have a question or comment? Nope. Okay. So yeah, this could be, you know, right there with you. And like Dan said, with that binder, I think, you know, we want to provide a helpful resource manual for you to have at your fingertips, and maybe that you can carry along to meetings just in case you get questions. But I think we'll need feedback from you as well as to, are there other things that should be in that handbook that, or that binder that we didn't think of? So, you know, it'll be certainly a two-way street with that. All right, so I have those links embedded, but I think when you get this e-handbook, when I send that to you, it's going to be the easiest thing for you to utilize to get to a lot of those other resources. And then one of the most important resources are your peers. You know, Dan and I started as zone chairs at the same time, and I guess Al Deal was the same year, started the same year we did, right, Dan?
Oh, I tell you, Dennis, and to everyone, that was just a magnificent relationship. I know that Zone Chair Keith told me the other day that he and Teresa have had that kind of relationship too, where they've exchanged information and kind of helped each other grow in the process. And so if you can establish that kind of relationship, it really is helpful.
Yeah, we shared agendas before our zone meetings to see, you know, help each other make sure we were covering what we needed to cover and the ideas that we had for the meeting. So it was really helpful that first year as a zone chair just to get settled in. And then of course your past district governors that are in your zone, you can feel free to lean on them. They're there and happy to help you with that, as well as your district governor and your first and second vice district governor. So, you know, never be afraid to go to your peers and ask for that. And again, call your presidents, call your secretaries around your zone. get a little feedback from them, ones that you have some rapport with, so that you have a good sense of, are you headed in the right direction? Your peers are always a great resource for you. All right. So we're not going to have this little quiz that they had incorporated into the end of the presentation, because we took a little bit of a bird walk from that, but hopefully we've achieved our objectives of reviewing these things. These were not learning objectives. I think these were teaching objectives more in terms of, this is what I wanted to cover. What you learned. I hope you found it valuable, and I hope it gave you a good overview with some detail as to what the responsibilities are. Happy to entertain any questions, comments that you have before we go. So don't hesitate.
The one thing I would say yet is that, looking at this today, some of it was a review for some of you. But as we look at the next couple of weeks now, we're really looking at some skill development in the next couple of weeks. And so we hope that this provides a foundation that you can bounce off of. And really grow to another level as this group of courses goes on.
Yes. So next week is SMART goals, basically goal setting and how to achieve your goals. That's probably a familiar term might be a familiar term to some of you. How SMART goals are different from just goals. So we're going to be talking about that and how to put together action plans, and what I think is a very valuable process to understand.
Oh yeah,
Get
absolutely.
things done. So,
I mean, as I think about writing goals for next year for the district, I mean, the work that you and I have done together, and the work that I'm doing right now through the courses that I'm doing for Vice District Governor, really is geared towards helping me do that. That the goals are measurable goals, that I can see what kind of progress we're making. And that I've established things out there that we're aiming towards. So yes, I think it's very important.
okay. Last chance, everybody. This is why I wish we were in person, because it's so much harder to engage. But I really appreciate your time and your patience. Thanks for tuning in. I hope we see you next week if you're interested. And I'll be sending out a link to that meeting to all of you, since you were at this meeting, as well as the other zone chairs on the list. So thanks again, and have a good evening.
Hey, thanks for all your hard work.
You bet.
Good night. Good
Thanks,
night, everybody.
everyone.
All right.
Hey.
Great, Dennis.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Take care.
Dan, are you going to be in Harrisburg on Saturday?
Yes. I'll see you there, huh?
Yeah, see you there.
I may even try to drive
before
there.
any of
What do you
this-
think of that, Carrie? With hand controls, no less.
Oh, somehow we've got Carrie can't be unmuted for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but
He doesn't show up as being muted.
no, he doesn't. Something, I don't know. Maybe we broke his speaker somehow. So. All right, Carrie, one, if you got it, if you started the recording halfway through, two, if you didn't. Okay.
What
Yeah,
I
the recording light, I have the recording lights on my screen.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I see it.
Oh, did I do something
And-
wrong?
I forgot to get us started on the recording. I apologize. So we'll get half of it anyways. So,
I think as just for everybody to know, as of Monday night, I should have all the face masks
Oh, good.
from both suppliers.
Okay. All right. I don't know if that'll stop. I guess that'll stop automatically, Carrie, when we turn off the meeting. So